الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us in His glorious book in Surah Ash-Shura, chapter 42, verse 53. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صراط الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ألا إلى الله تصير الأمور. The path of Allah, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. Surely to Allah all matters will return for judgment. Now there are many verses that you come across if you read the Quran that لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. To Allah belongs everything in heavens and earth. That means everything in existence. Samawati wal ard is a reference to everything except Allah. So everything but Allah is in Allah's control. And that came to me when I was reading one of the chapters, and it kept repeating, every few verses, it appears again, it appears again. I mean, when you look at it, there's 88 references in the Quran that to Allah, al-mulk, the verb mulk. So Allah's ownership is different from ours. You may own something, but it can be taken away from you. You may not own something, but benefit from it. Somebody else owns it. But Allah's ownership is creation, its lifespan, and its end. When it ends, it returns back to Him. It's complete ownership. He does whatever He wants with it, and nobody else, can prevent Him from doing whatever He wants in His dominion. So this fact has to be very clear in our mind, and it's part of the aqidah that everything Allah created and He controls. Now in this life, when you look at ilallahi tasir al-umur, all things return to Allah. And some may ask, if it returns to Allah in the hereafter, on the day of judgment, in whose control it is in this life? Well, the answer is it's always in Allah's hands. But in the eyes of people who don't believe or whose faith is weak, they may think that power and control is in the hand of this powerful person or this powerful nation. On the day of judgment, it'll be very clear as who owns everything and where does everything returns. So the most two important topics in our life, in every person's life, is matters of life and death and matters of provision, rizq. You fear for your safety and you want to make sure that you have food, you have income to support you. And people disobey Allah in those two things primarily. Their love for life makes them attack others, take what others have. They may fear that somebody may attack them and they go on the offensive. Or the fear of poverty drives them to earn from unlawful means because they're afraid they're going to go broke or whatever. So it drives them to channels that they should not be in. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, in matters of life and death, Allah assured us that He is the one who gives life and takes it. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا in Surah An-Najm, that's chapter 53 in verse 44. And He is the one who gives life and causes death. Huwa. Allah didn't say وَأَنَّهُ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. It says وَأَنَّهُ huwa, Him, and Him alone. Nobody dies except when Allah permits. That's what Aqidah is. That's why a Muslim is calm and collected, because he knows his life and his death is in Allah's hands. When Allah decides it's time to go, it's time to go. Nobody can come in and take your life a moment before Allah, what Allah destined for you. And you have to believe that your lifespan and everybody's lifespan is the perfect lifespan for you. It's to your benefit. You look, you see, oh, why, Ya Allah, why did this young person die? You don't know. Maybe that person, if they live to be 80, they would commit atrocities, and now they died while they were innocent. We don't know. Allah knows. But you have to be, as a believer, you have to believe that whatever lifespan Allah allows you to have is the best and ideal lifespan for you. Not a moment more, not a moment less. So life and death is in Allah's hands, so be assured. When you look at the seerah of the Sahaba, at their life, and the heroic things that they could, when they would stand in front of tyrants and say the word of haqq, and they had no fear. They had no fear because they understood that their life is in Allah's hands, not in anybody else. What needs to be said needs to be said. If Allah says that's it, that's the end of your life, then that's the end of your life. And it will happen regardless whether you are asleep or whether you are making jihad. That's your lifespan. And the other thing is provision. And in Surah Hud, chapter 11, verse 6, Allah tells us that provision for everyone is provided. Everything that Allah created is provided for by Allah. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا كُلٌّ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. There is no moving creature on earth whose provision is not guaranteed by Allah. And He knows where it lives and where it is laid to rest. All is written in a perfect record. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ it involves everything from the single cell organism to the blue whale in the ocean. From the smallest of creation till the biggest of creation. All of them are provided for by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. That term, Allah has established a right for every one of us, for every living thing that He created. He established a right upon Himself, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will provide. So don't worry. Don't worry that you don't want to have kids because you may not be able to provide for them. Allah is the provider, not you. Allah sends from channels that you never imagine. Every living thing, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, I will provide for them. وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا. And Allah knows who belongs to what, or what belongs to who, and what happens to it. The apple that may be sitting on a tree in Washington State could have somebody's name on it. This apple is destined to this person. Now, that person can have it as a gift. They can buy it. They can steal it. They can take it by force, but that is their rizq. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said that apple belongs to that person, and no matter if it travels around the world, it will end up in that person's mouth. That's how rizq works. When Allah withholds provisions, it's not because, like us, where sometimes you're afraid that you don't have enough, so you don't give. Allah doesn't have that problem. When He withholds, it's a correction tool. That rizq was coming to you, you did something bad, that may be taken back for a time. So the giving the rizq and taking it away is a correction tool that Allah uses to get us back to Him. So Allah knows what's good for you. Allah knows that sometimes making somebody rich will preserve their faith. Sometimes if you get too much than what you need, it leads you astray. Allah knows. So trust in Allah that whatever rizq that He destined for you is the best thing for you. And if you want your rizq to be increased, then do good. Be good. Be on Allah's good side. And then see how this provision starts coming to you. Allah says in Surah At-Talaq, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That's in the partial of that chapter 65, verse 2. And whoever is mindful of Allah, He will make a way out for them out of every problem, out of every predicament, and provide for them from sources they could never imagine. Allah insists that when He provides for us, It's never from any place where you are expecting it. Because Allah, when He gives, He astonishes. You think the rizq is going to come from here, it comes from there. It comes from channels that you never could imagine that it will come to you. That's how when Allah provides, that's how He provides. But provisions have means. Allah created the provisions, but it's not going to come to you without effort. He created ways that you go after that rizq to get it. You have to chase it. It's not going to come to you without doing anything. You have to work for that income to come in. You have to plow the field if you want to eat. It's not going to come to you without effort. So these are the ways that Allah put in His creation. And we all know that the story of Sayyidah Mary, Maryam, when she was pregnant, and Allah says, you want to eat? Shake the palm tree and it will drop, تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. It will drop, dates. You can get 5 strong men and they won't be able to shake a palm tree. But the point is, you have to do something. Do something, just pretend to move it and it will come down to you. You have to put the effort. And when Allah mentions it in the Quran, it's not extra information. That's what it's telling you. Even Maryam, that was pregnant and could barely, move, was asked to shake that palm tree to eat. So don't expect things to come to you without putting the effort. You have to put the effort and rely on Allah, and He will provide. So in conclusion, when you look at faith, faith has a central core components and peripheral components. Components that beautify it but has nothing to do with the core. Just like a car. A car's central parts are the engine, the steering wheel, and the body. The type of radio you have in there, the seats, whether they're leather or... These are peripheral. They beautify the car. They don't serve the function of it moving and taking you from point A to point B. So same thing with faith. The core of the faith is to worship Allah alone. And I talked about that a few weeks ago. And then the other part of this is to know that all things, big or small, are in Allah's control exclusively. That's what Tawheed teaches us. Nothing happens in Allah's dominion without His permission and His acceptance. No criminal can go attack another person without Allah allowing it, and without that attack being a lesson to the recipient. Yeah, He may allow somebody to go and hurt somebody, but they don't have a choice of who they hurt. They hurt somebody who Allah intended for him to have that lesson. And all things means your health. All things in Allah's control. Your health, your wealth, your children, your spouse, your home, your work. The provisions come, everything that is and everything that is to be is in Allah's control. Imam al-Hasan al-Basri once was asked, "Ya Imam, tell us about this. What's the secret of your izz, of your prestige, of your honor? Why are you such a great person?" He said, "I knew that no one else can have my provision. My provision is mine, it's nobody else's. When I knew that, then my soul was assured and tranquil." When you believe that your provision comes from Allah, and if it is coming to you, قُلْ لَا يُصِيبُنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا, we all know it, that nothing happens to you without Allah's permission. And if something is coming to you, it's coming to you. Nobody can prevent it. A bullet that hits somebody, it was destined for them. There is no such thing as stray bullet. Or it missed me. It was meant to miss you. It was not meant for you. That's because everything happens with Allah's permission. So when you believe that all your provision comes from Allah, you will never lower yourself and humiliate yourself in front of somebody else. You seek your provision with honor. You don't lower yourself. A believer does not lower themselves to anyone. You don't beg somebody to give you. You go and you work, you seek from Allah's provision, and Allah will provide for you. So there is no need to destroy competition at work. Do your best. That other person that you're working with is not going to take your job. All you have to do is do your best and prove that you are the best person and you will get promoted. There is no reason to go in and try to set up your competition so they can be fired, so it leaves the air clear for you. No, that's not how you do it. You do your best and you rely on Allah. And when you have that conviction that Allah provides, then you fear no one but Allah. You stand up and you say the word of truth and you fear no one. You ask no one but Allah. You start by asking Allah for whatever you need. And you put your hopes in Allah alone. Because if you put your hopes in somebody else and forget about Allah, you can bet, you can be sure that Allah will make you pay and make you regret putting the faith in somebody else. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.